What is up, guys? Back with another one. Today, we're gonna talk about some Canon rumors, because who doesn't love a new camera from Canon? Actually, a lot of people, because a lot of the recent cameras have been like specs from 2012. However, I keep buying them. So let's get into it. So here's the thing, Canon stock and their sales and all this fun stuff were reported to be around 55 to 65% down from, I forget what it was, previous years or previous whatever, or in general, but that's still a pretty huge amount that their everything is down. Like that's a lot of missed sales for cameras, and you know, a lot of people can speculate that's probably from, you know, them coming out with a camera like the EOS R with specs on paper similar to one that came out like a few years ago. So it's not really a camera that's like super high-end spec-wise to like compared to all the newer cameras, but I own two of them and I honestly think it's the most underrated camera of the year. I just want to talk a little bit about maybe some new cameras that might be coming out. So on Canon rumors, I did see that they might be releasing a Canon M5 and M6 that can do 4K with no crop, which is a game changer. And then also up to 180 frames per second at 1080, which would be also a huge game changer. Now, I haven't heard anything about IBIS. There are a few rumors coming out about a new Canon EOS R camera, maybe a higher end spec version. If Canon can come out with a low end mirrorless camera like the M5 with 180 frames and no crop 4K, what's to say they can't come out with a new mirrorless R type camera that has no crop 4K? And let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say 120 frames per second at 1080. Hopefully, I feel like those two by themselves would be a huge game changer for Canon itself. And then another one, I don't think they would include it, but I really hope they would, is IBIS. If they could include IBIS in their new cameras, the R camera, that would just be huge. They would have a Canon lineup that would finally compete with the Sony cameras. And then also, I think it was Sony, they just came out with a new camera, the version 4 of something that was 70 something megapixels, I believe, and Canon was to say that they are going to be putting themselves back on top for the highest megapixel DSLR type mirrorless camera out there, because they were head honchos with I think around 50.1 megapixels, and then Sony came out with their higher megapixel camera, might be 60, but either way, Canon did rumor or say that they will be putting themselves back on top. So my assumptions as to what you can expect for a new camera, in August it is speculated that they will be coming out with the M5 and M6 with those two specs I talked about, which would be freaking awesome. And then I would love to see sometime at the end of this year, beginning of next, a new Canon R version that has 120 frames per second, 4K no crop, and I would 1000% buy that. I already own two EOS Rs because I love it that much, and I really think that if they came out with an R mirrorless camera that could do all those things, and even if they included IBIS, like, that's just huge. So I just wanted to go over a little bit of that. Super short video, but it's kind of my thoughts. If their stock is low, their sales are going downhill because of, you know, their older spec cameras that keep coming out. What's to say they didn't finally realize, hey, we need to come out with a camera that people actually want to buy a lot of? My opinion, completely speculation, just from the research I've done on like Canon rumors and other rumor websites, is that Canon's probably going to come out with an M5 and M6 with pretty nice specs, especially for how expensive those cameras are. They're pretty cheap. Under $1,000 they might be, I would assume, because the other ones have been. And those are something to look forward to, because those are cheap 4K cameras that are Canon, but they do obviously, they're not full frame. So that's also something, but that's not a huge deal. And then the biggest thing is I'm personally expecting sometime in the next like 6 months to 8 months an EOS R something that has 4K, hopefully 60, but I won't get too excited. Probably 24 or 30, but at least 1080, 120. Like, that is the big thing. I will say they probably won't have IBIS, but they probably will also try to do 4K no crop. And let's say it's probably gonna be like 70 plus megapixels because they do wanna be top dog for the megapixel range. So I'll get more in detail in the next video once more information comes out. But for now, I'll see you guys on the next one. It's funny because this whole time of making a vlog, I'm actually in a game on PUBG. Players Unknown Battleground.